Book 1. Tammy. Chapter 1. It had been 8 days since his wife went missing. Erwin Thomas took down all of Janie's photos and loaded her things in large plastic totes that he'd purchased en masse from the Gig Harbor Target store 3 days after she vanished. The first day he could barely breathe, and he certainly didn't believe anything that the authorities had told him. Janie would never, ever do that. Janie, he told himself over and over, loved him. That same day, the news vans with their 10-foot-high satellite antennas planted themselves like a high-tech forest along the roadside in front of the Thomases' South Kitsap home. One reporter, a woman from CNN, complained that she had bladder issues and asked to use his bathroom. He let her do that only one time. That evening, he'd watched the news, and the reporter showed video that she'd taken of the inside of his house, an exclusive that she'd bragged about. The second day, Erwin, jittery from too much coffee and an overdose of worry, slumped on the gray leather sofa that had been clawed by their beloved cat, Luann. He could barely look Kitsap County Sheriff's Detective Kendall Stark in the eye as she offered proof that Janie had done what she did of her own volition. She couldn't. She wouldn't, he said, his tone just a little too insistent to be genuine. She would never have fallen in love with that monster. Kendall nodded. Monster was a good name for Brenda Nevins, a serial killer who cajoled, seduced, blackmailed, and left a trail of bodies all over Washington state. Dealing with strangers in situations like the one occupying the detective and the shell-shocked husband was so much easier. Emotions were always part of the process, but with a stranger, they simply didn't carry the same pain. Kendall leaned forward. "We have proof, Mr. Thomas," she said. Erwin blinked and slumped deeper into the sofa. What kind of proof? His dark eyes flashed a little anger, a little resentment. He turned away and watched Luann as she rubbed tortoiseshell fur on the raw edges of a cat-scratching post. The distraction was like an extra breath of air. He needed it. Though he'd known Kendall since she was a student at South Kitsap High, he just couldn't believe her right then. "A video," she answered. Erwin looked right at Kendall, a kind of penetrating look that challenged her. "What kind of video?" he asked. Kendall thought about her words very carefully. The man across from her had had the bottom fall out of his world, and he didn't need to know specifically what was held in the less-than-high-def images on the flash drive that had been recovered from his wife's bottom desk drawer at the prison where she'd served as superintendent. Someday, in a courtroom, she knew others would see the clip. Erwin, she had no doubt, would beg her to view it. He'd say it was his right to watch it. And ultimately that would be true. But not right then. "An intimate video," she said. Janie Thomas's husband looked in the direction of the console behind the detective. A row of family photos played out like a tribute to their lives with their son Joseph, a student at Boise State who was now on his way home. Erwin stayed mute for a very long time. "Mr. Thomas," Kendall said, "I'm so sorry about all of this." Erwin made a face, the kind that telegraphs one of those ambivalent emotions but is really much more than that. Hurt, pride, embarrassment, worry. "I don't mean to be disrespectful, Detective," he said, "but sorry isn't going to help me much right now. So let's not be sorry. Let's find Janie." Kendall stood to leave. "We're on it," she said. "I promise you, Mr. Thomas, we'll do everything to bring her home." Erwin kept his eyes on Kendall, but he didn't get up. He stayed planted on the sofa. "She's not coming back here, Detective," he said, his tone very firm, very final. "I hope you find her and put her where she belongs. And that isn't here with me." And that was it. Silence filled the room, and Erwin Thomas indicated the way out with a quick nod. Kendall started for the door, with Janie's old laptop and iPad. She hoped that when and if they found Janie, she'd plead guilty for what she'd done. She hoped that when Janie and Brenda were captured, that justice would be swift. That Brenda would go back to prison right away. That Janie would join her. Kendall Stark didn't want Erwin Thomas to ever see the contents of that video. Indeed, she wished she hadn't seen it. It was one of those things that was unforgettable for all of the wrong reasons. It was like stumbling onto some site on the internet and having it start playing vile images from which the click of a mouse cannot offer an escape. When he first started the process of erasing Janie from his life after the detective left that afternoon, Erwin did so with a sad tenderness. He packed her clothes neatly. He carefully folded a lace top that she'd worn on their 25th